Okay, we're going. Okay. Yay, thank you all for being here today. Can you hear me okay? You can see the screen okay? Cool. Okay, usually this is a business meeting. We usually have this when we have the in-person conference, but we didn't have time this year in the virtual setting because of the quick transition. So thank you all for being here today. Technically, to also this, in order to keep our nonprofit status within the United States, we have to have a business meeting at least once a year. So this fulfills that purpose. We can point to it and say we did this. So a few things on the agenda. I just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens to work through and to offer a report and to get your ideas, comments, suggestions about this last year's conference, our finances, some considerations going forward, next year's conference, this year's awards, and some action items to consider in addition to ones you all might have. The first thing I wanted to offer up are the numbers from this last year. Can you see this okay? Mm-hmm. I can send this out.
Yeah.
This is a breakdown of our attendance. I should also say, feel free if you have any questions to either interrupt or put them in chat, whatever you prefer is easiest for you. This is our attendance this last year. Based off of, we had 87 presentations, 6 workshops, and 7 author spotlights across 2 days, across several time slots. Each time slot had two things, 2 workshops, 2 author spotlights, 2 discussion sessions. I've also included the attendance breakdown for each session, where you can get a sense of the number of folks who participated in these sessions or who were at least signed into their Zoom account. A few things to consider, and this will matter going forward. This year we had to balance, there are multiple things that we balanced from the virtual conference perspective. Zoom room capacity, so in order to have an increased Zoom room above more than 100 people, that costs extra, but we have to keep, you also have to have multiple, you have to either have a large Zoom account to host multiple meetings concurrently. This year I ran it, I had 2 computers going, 2 Zoom accounts going, but definitely something to consider depending on the size of conference that we have. Time slots matter in terms of submissions. The number of sessions that we want per slot is also important consideration. So this is something that a few of us always talk about every year. You know, we can always branch this out. We could have 3 sessions going at the same time, but often depending on how many people are at the conference, that might dilute who can attend which sessions. So it's really a question of, do you want to go for more intimate, larger, you want to go for more intimate sessions, you want to go for larger sessions. The last thing with the virtual component, and I did my best this year just with a general sense of where people were located, but trying to accommodate various time considerations. So we had folks who were at least tied to 25 countries and 10 time zones. So a few of us tried to work sessions to at least make them somewhat manageable for folks to participate at a decent time where they were. Any questions, thoughts about this?
No, I thought it worked beautifully, really. Couldn't have been better organized.
Mm-hmm. So that's important. Thank you, Carolyn. And that's important as we think going forward. We know what works. We know this thing. There are some slight things to do that we could do differently, but that's important to think about for sure, that we know we have a sense of what at least did an okay job.
I think the 2 things is, the first thing is, if we ever do a workshop with Carolyn and Art again, it should be in competition with it because nobody's going to go to the other one.
Right.
Like, I'm just saying, and I'm pretty sure that's 122-8. I'm pretty sure that was their score. So I don't like, I literally don't think that was fair to the other person. And two, the way that we have the time schedule, it would be different because I know somebody put in that several people said that they wish that we could continue the virtual conference, like the virtual parts along with the actual physical conference. So that would change how we would do it, right? Wouldn't that change how we would? Because in my mind, if somebody says, okay, I also only want to do the virtual conference but I'm going to come to the face-to-face, wouldn't that change how we lay out the conference, or we're just going to do it the same way?
It sure would. Yeah. This is one of the big discussion points.
Okay.
Yeah. Good point. I forgot to mention attendance concerns and ability of presenters. So your first remark, though, of this person being pushed against Art and Carolyn, this was a time constraint on their end, not on our end. So they could only do a particular time, and you'll get some of that. So that wasn't. You're right. We would have kept that open, but this person could only do that one time slot.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, absolutely great point though. Yeah.
I feel bad. That 100. You could have just lied on that score, man. You didn't have to. Whew, that's hurtful.
They won't come now. They may not come the next time.
That's the most hurtful score. You need to take that off, man.
The other session was really good too.
This is why we're not quant researchers.
Right, because we're looking at numbers like, oh, that hurts my feelings. Okay.
I should just put like a palm tree in a boat or something.
Just comparable. It was statistical difference.
We'll gauge sessions using emojis.
Yes. Happy faces.
Well, at least I totally agree with that it just might be something if Art and Carolyn are willing to have it just be at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, luckily, Jonathan, I'd shared that one. Jonathan did a fine job. He's the sort of person in the world who gets that. I think he even commented on it. Yeah. But he had a great little session. But it's at 122-8 is interesting.
Maybe we can ask him to do another one or something on his book or something next year to make
absolutely
or something the next day. If it's still a time thing, he could just do it the next day.
Yeah. Maybe.
Cool. Here's the next. I just want to run through again. Just give you a sense of where we are, where we're going. Some thoughts about going forward. So every year we have to file taxes on behalf of the organization to keep it a nonprofit. I filed those for last year already. It's very simple to do with a nonprofit organization if you don't bring in more than $40,000 a year. Just to give you a sense of where we are financially, we have about $4,500 currently. This is a breakdown of what we need to do. We have to keep $500 in the bank. Our annual expenses currently, last year, they were about $500. But if we need extra, I would love to bring on a non-Gmail email account. So you can get a domain-specific email account. It's a little bit more money, but it's going to be much more helpful than the IAANI.org@gmail.com email address, which can be confusing. In-person conferences. So this goes back to some planning. In addition to the actual planning of the sessions, there are some financial considerations for in-person conferences too. The last two in-person conferences we had range between $2,200 and $2,800. And so that's where I put $2,500 here. What wasn't included in that is that if we book 25 rooms with the hotel, with participants who book in the room block, we get the space rental for free, which is really remarkable for any hotel to do that. If we don't meet Art, you asked me this this morning, if we don't get those 25 rooms, the hotel will charge $300 a day to use the rooms, which we did, which actually isn't bad. I went to the contract. That's not terrible. I thought it was going to be much more expensive. The virtual conference costs about $500, and this is really, if last year's model worked okay, the Zoom rooms, the big Zoom rooms, you do cost about $100 for each room. You have to get a monthly subscription. And then we have payment fees, which aren't included. They're deducted off the top through PayPal, but we're going to have payment fees if we go through PayPal or if we go through anytime we use credit card, we're going to have to pay the fees somewhere. Going forward, things that we would be helpful that we heard from past years, but it's even, I should say number wise, this last year, 2 years ago, the in-person conferences, we had between 80 and 100 people each year. Last year, we had 230 people on the virtual conference to give a sense of folks who registered. The money helps with, ideally, we'd love to have some tech support. When we get to that question of the in-person virtual conference, this is going to matter. Other questions, do we want a conference submission platform? So this is the question of not using Google Forms. I think Google Forms have been seamless. I haven't heard any issue with the forms, but we could pay for like a Manuscript Central. I think Oxford has a platform, and I'm guessing they're going to run between $600 to $1,000 just to use that form. I don't know if we need to do that. We could have the question of payment platforms besides PayPal. I think PayPal has worked very well. Just to give you a break, and we're working out the nuances of PayPal, but this last year we had about 200 people who registered for the conference, and we only had an issue with one person stateside and 5 people outside of the States because of a lack of access to a credit card. Otherwise, unless people didn't tell me about them, the PayPal, I learned some things with people using PayPal. PayPal seemed to be fairly seamless as a platform to use. They're very easy to work with. But that might be a question, is there a better platform to use? I don't know the answer to that question. And the last thing is a question of, do we want to, it's a volunteer-based organization. Do we set aside money for workshop presenters, keynote speakers? I should mention that on the next screen, I bring up the survey. Sometimes when people recommend workshop presenters or keynote speakers or author spotlights, sometimes, again, behind the scenes, those authors won't do that unless they rightfully, in some occasions, get compensation for their services. I get that, but we don't have the resources to offer that especially at that time. And the question going forward is this something we want to look into?
Donnie, quick question. Can you remind me what the difference in the cost was for attendance?
This year it was $20, $20 registration fee. And if folks had the option, if they could not pay the $20, they could do other tasks. They just had to contact me. So our chairs did not pay. For instance, our chairs did not pay, or actually moderators, they did way different kind of work than chairing. Moderators did not pay that registration fee, so that was easy to waive.
And the workshop presenters did not pay, and the
right, that's right.
Speaker
Yep.
special sessions didn't pay.
So can I ask how much we banked then with this year being virtual? Or is that
about 38?
How much we made from the conference, or is that a total from other years past?
That's total. That's a good question. We made, I would say about 3,800. So we made, this was really good to at least give us a cushion. Last year we were very worried. We were very thin with the budget. So yeah.
So the reason I asked that is as we talk about the difficult question about whether to do online, in person, or hybrid, that's sort of, I'm already thinking about like, well, we made more money this year. We had more attendance. There's something that is lost if we do it online that we can't do in person. There are other things we can do in person. And, but at the same time, right. So I can see how this is going to be a challenging decision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great, thank you, Nicole. I forgot about that. But yeah, this year we did very, very well financially because of that. And I think that was a good price point too.
I'm wondering if there was a way to make more money throughout the year by doing like work, like maybe at a 6-month point, doing like a series of workshops over a couple days where we could charge a nominal fee to help build up the bank account.
It's a great idea.
That's a good point, Andy. We definitely heard that. I think some feedback from people about more than I was a little surprised by it, but folks who want continuing kind of assistance or workshops. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to cut in. I'm kind of new, so being new to this, and then it was the first conference that I've attended. I had like loads of questions, and it'd be great if someone like myself could have opportunities throughout the year to come back in and dip back in and meet people and sort of build up the knowledge base. So yeah, I'd think something like that over a period of time would be amazing.
Well, and I also think it'd be cool if like, not only would that build up the money for the conference, but I think it could be a cool opportunity to offer like graduate students or people with financial hardships a waiver for a fee with that money. Like, I think that could be super advantageous, because the thing I love about this conference is like the first time I came here, it was the first time in academia where I was like, these are my people, and like I want other graduate students to be able to feel the way that I felt, because for the first year and a half of my doc program, like I was literally fighting with everyone about autoethnography and why I wanted to do it, and the relationships, and like I met Tony's on my committee, I met him at the conference, like I met all these people that like I send my papers to and get feedback from, and like I want other people to be able to have that opportunity. So I think that if we could raise money that could not only help build the account, but help like provide graduate students waivers to come to the conference, that'd be really cool.
Well, what's nice is we really aren't charging much money at all, like $20, and then people can't pay, they don't have to. So I like that. I think that's the spirit of what we do and of this organization. And I like to keep it really low like that if we could. And I don't mind like thinking, we're making money when we do it virtually. But now we have a kitty so that if we get to do it in person at some point, we have coffee money and we have some food money and maybe some entertainment money if we want to use. So I like that. And I'm, it seems that the more we go virtual, the less, keynote people get paid a whole lot of money, because they're doing it virtually and they're not having to spend all the time and effort to get there and so forth. I mean, you lose that wonderful travel element, but it's not as much effort. And I kind of like not paying at least not paying a whole lot for a keynoter or people who do workshops, but just letting it be part of it. And really this year we had more people wanting to do those kinds of things than we had slots for. They wanted to do workshops and they wanted to do author sessions. And so I thought it was really nice to just say you don't have to pay the registration fee, but everybody kind of stays on an equal level, and we don't have people who are above who, are getting a lot of money to come to the conference while everybody else pays. I like that.
Well, my idea also with the like day of workshops would be that it would be free, or that it with a suggested donation of $20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So,
if it was a separate workshop, I mean, if it's something that somebody's doing all day, I think that's a separate issue. It's not the conference, but they're putting in a whole day of labor and preparation and so forth. So I have no trouble with treating that as different and giving those people some money for doing that kind of thing. my feeling about it.
Yeah.
And Tony, you have one plan, right, for about publishing with Hannah?
I do. Yeah, that's on here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep taking notes, interrupt when you see stuff. So let me go to this one. These were so this is thinking forward to next year. We've touched on a few of these. I throughout the 20. Do we want to go to is 20 fine? Do we go to 25? I put 25 here because in my mind I'm thinking of the in-person component that's still present, which would be helpful. Is 25 too much? Is that still within a okay pay space? That again can also, we have this offer, we can absolutely get we can waive folks if they assist with the conference. Andy, I love the comment, can we generate money to cover folks' fees? And I think that would even be a wonderful thing to do too. And workshops would be one way to do that. I'll go to the next screen and then I'll stop. Make sure to complete the survey, which is on IAANI.org, because we have, I think, 70 some folks have completed it now. There's some great feedback on that. So that's wonderful. A lot of it deals with potential speakers for workshops, which I don't think we should get into right now. I think we have to figure out what we're going to do next year. And then just to make sure to either follow the Facebook group or the IAANI Google group. I'll stop on this screen. So this goes back to now thinking what we made, thinking of the registration fees. What should the registration fee be for this next year? I would say depends on how we approach the conference format. A few things here. I think we should put out the call for presentations not until June 1st to July 15th. I think that should be the first window that is open. I say this because I think we will know more about COVID world. We will know more about COVID world in May than we do right now. Mm-hmm. What is going on? We can again still plan on having. Do we want to have an in-person and virtual component? I think is a question that needs to be stay on the table. We could have, let's say we proceeded with the both path. We could have in the call for presentations, folks can submit which one they would prefer. That's easy to do. If folks wanted to do the virtual component, that's all they have to do. If they want to do the in-person component, they could do that. If they wanted to switch at a later time, that would be fairly easy to do. But that if we have a lot of folks, that would be a lot of correspondence and could get weird. But again, I think we would know more. We would know more than we do right now. I only put at the bottom. This was something that we could. Bye, Allison. We could do something like. I think, from my perspective, the hardest thing, and I think the impossible thing. Here's what I think is impossible: is if we try to merge a virtual component and the in-person component. So Livette, goes back to what you were saying. If we try to do both simultaneously, that's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
We know what works in person. We know what works virtually. Mm-hmm. To complicate both of that, the hotel, at least at our last venture there, they have terrible internet. Yes. Which means that we would have to. I looked this up last night, and Art and Carolyn they've used this before. We would have to then probably rent a hotspot of some sort and pay for a certain amount of data usage if we wanted to do some kind of if there was a virtual component to the in-person component.
How about this? I just had an idea.
Yeah.
How about we have a virtual conference in July? So we have the in-conference, the face-to-face in January, like regular. then we can have an online conference in July, and we can have it like the Call of Summer Institute, and that can be fully online. That way we can hit both markets, and we can create a kitty for the January.
Huh. Yeah.
Like, so in January, we can just have it fully face-to-face and say, we're going to have an online component, but the online component is going to be for our summer and our institute, and we can charge for the workshop. So we could have a pre-workshop as well as a conference.
I like that. I like that a lot. I was trying to think of a model. Could you do sort of a similar thing? This is where I went back to these dates thing. Could you do an in-person component one weekend, virtual the next weekend, something to like tie it together like this? The only other reason, so just a minor bit of history, is why this is scheduled at this time. Within the States, well, first off, location, Florida, wintertime, great escape, great place to be. But there are 2 autoethnography conferences that are also in July.
Gotcha. Yes.
So you have the critical autoethnography and the International Conference on Autoethnography, which is in July. The critical autoethnography, they just moved to September, I believe.
Okay.
Which frees up. So there is the UK one is in July. Critical autoethnography in September.
Okay.
Great idea. I think we can play. I think we should play with that. Figure out, can we do something?
Well, I see you say the in-person component and then the virtual component, and even if you have it, the virtual conference after the face-to-face, I mean, that would work too.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I'm looking at the dates. It is.
The other part of this is depending, so I put up the survey. So this is the current survey with 70. We have 71 folks who replied. What I was most intrigued with is that remember this hotel. Remember the hotel contract that you have to book 25 rooms to get the $300 space fee waived. I bet you we could probably negotiate with the hotel a bit. It'd probably come down to 20, maybe even 15 rooms for that. But it will also matter though, if we have 20 people submit for the in-person component and 300 submit for the virtual component, that's going to also throw off.
Because I know a lot of people are not giving travel money. So.
Yep.
That's the key. How many people are expecting to get funding restored for conferences? Everything I've seen suggests that universities are really happy not to have to pay faculty to go to conferences anymore. And getting that money back is going to be a real fight for faculties. In my opinion, but I'm not teaching anymore. So maybe some of you can contribute what you know about your own situations. And also we can collect some data from the people who were here last year, last 2.
Well, and also I know that my university and some other universities are more inclined to give money for conferences like NCA and ICA than they are for what they consider this as a niche conference. So like, I worry about people getting funding for this too, when it wouldn't be like with funding more limited now, they're prioritizing the main big conferences, at least for graduate students. So
yeah.
Also, I looked up critical autoethnography. It is September 30th and October 1st. So.
At USF, we don't have the issue that you're talking about, Andy, at least at this point. It's typically just what funds are available and are you presenting, that sort of thing. But I could certainly imagine how elsewhere, that pressure might be on in a difficult need to choose. Just to add to what Art was saying too, in addition to the funding, like USF, we're not allowed to travel. like there's a travel ban.
Right.
And any travel that happens is on a state by state or a trip by trip basis.
Right.
So
Oh, wow.
hopefully, who knows if that'll be lifted. I would have to imagine, given that it's Florida, it will be lifted by then. But who knows? And it might not be lifted until fall. Meanwhile, people might be making their decisions in the summer too on this. So
We have a travel ban at Bradley. We can't go anywhere.
Another option down the line is to alternate years. So
Mhm.
1 year would be in person and 1 year
Mhm.
would be
Good.
online, digital. And make that a ongoing pattern. People would get used to that. And it would also give you, over a period of 5 to 8 years or so, a lot of information about
Mhm.
what people like. There is the one thing that's missing and hard to reproduce in an online conference is the informal communications, the networking, the talking to people who are doing work of interest, most interest to you.
The
Mentoring.
dancing and drinking beer together.
Yeah.
The karaoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that idea, but I like that, maybe thinking of every other year. I guess I feel just a little bit of hesitation of not trying to do too much for too long
Too
a
soon,
period of time. I've always been like, let's hold back, let's always leave people wanting more, as opposed to having a virtual and having then later the in-person, and too many workshops through the year. I mean, a few I think would be nice, but I don't want people to just start kind of taking it for granted and it's always there, and we might come or we might not come. I like for there to be a high level of enthusiasm like we have now for coming to this special event, whether it's virtual or in person. So I just want to kind of caution us not to plan too many things. Also, the other side of that is Tony is doing, 95% of the work. So I'd like to keep his workload down as much as we possibly can. Or I've suggested a couple of times using our money to hire someone to actually help him, but we haven't quite figured out how that would work out yet. But those are just some ideas I'm throwing out.
Once I finish comps and my prospectus, I'm glad to help.
What year will that be?
I'm doing my comps and prospectus over the next 2 months. So,
All right. Okay.
So as long as Tony doesn't fail me on it, we're good.
Oh, this sounds like a conflict of interest to me.
This is being recorded too.
Also, I noticed that in Stacy's post on the critical autoethnography, she has something really cool where it talks about bubbles, forming a local bubble. Like if we do end up having to be online, she suggests forming a local bubble for an in-person community. So I think that could be a really cool option if we have to remain online.
Yep. I love that. I do love that idea.
I'm new to the group, so I just came twice to the conference and I love it. I really love it. I'm in Texas, and the university has restrictions, as Andy was saying, we cannot travel. However, we all tired and we all want to travel. So probably I would say, yes, I will go. But I was thinking, can we have like one space, like one alternative is like you have two meetings running at the same time? Can we have a third meeting online, not every time, but maybe not a third day, but it's like a third line that is coming, is running parallel? Or we can tape record the presentations and post it online for the people who cannot come. And that may not be exactly what people want, but at least you have the opportunity to attend to the conference in some fashion if you are not able to come. I'm like you all, we don't know what is going to happen. My university has wants to open like a regular business for fall. So we have already vaccinated a good percent of the faculty and administration. So it seems that it's possible. I don't know if will be for everybody, but it's Texas and we don't know what is true and what is real and what is not and what is fiction. The point is, seems that it's possible. And I don't know. So I know how you start, Tony, with the impossible to have a mix, but I would think that we have learned that the impossible will be the normal in these times, and maybe somehow giving opportunity for people who cannot travel or are very afraid of traveling because of Florida being high on COVID, and I don't know, somehow some kind of virtual participation, maybe the bubbles. I don't know if there's a lot of organization to be able to create bubbles in different local stages, but
We'll definitely have both. The problem would be if we had the in-person component at the hotel. If we had an in-person component and there was a virtual component at the same time, we would have to have other people run that virtual component with the current resources, because the hotel, you've been to the hotel,
yes,
the internet's terrible. So that that would be going on its own.
But that is possible.
It is possible, but somebody would have to take the lead and run that.
I want to go to the hotel, so I'm not going, I'm not going to volunteer. My daughter is in Miami, so it's the great excuse. I go for Christmas and then I come back to Texas driving and stop there. So it's
like, you know, we can check on this cell router that, you know, Art and I used up in the mountains, which worked just beautifully. It still doesn't work like broadband that we have here, but it really worked well. One other, I just throw this out. I know we all love the Dolphin Hotel, and I do too, but we had this thought, you know, Art and I are moving to Safety Harbor, and we're right down the street from the Safety Harbor Spa. It's this well-known spa. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I once went to a conference at the spa, and it was terrific. I have no idea what their Wi-Fi would be like, but I imagine it's probably better than the Dolphins. And it sits on the bay, and there are parks to walk in and walking trails, and, you know, really good restaurants, and it's only 15 minutes at the most from the Gulf beaches. Now, it's, you know, we're all committed to the Dolphin, but I did want to throw that out as just, you know, something to think about. And
it's also closer to both airports, or at least Tampa's.
Oh yeah, it's like 20 minutes from
Tampa,
and it's only, I mean, it's maybe 10 minutes from the St. Pete airport. So I don't know how expensive it would be. It wasn't that expensive when I went before, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, just throwing out an idea. So
the massage between sessions is very good.
it is, yes. Yeah.
Do you give those, Art?
We have a hot springs there, a natural mineral hot springs. So.
That's a visual that's not going to go away for a few minutes. My friends, I just wanted to throw out there too, and I think all of these things are worth thinking about, right? And I think in terms of in-person versus online, we don't have to decide it now, as been suggested. I don't know. And this is coming from someone that lives 40 minutes away from where it would be, less. If we come to the summer and as a group decide on virtual again for one more year, I wouldn't be disappointed. And I bet you, what is better, like trying to do something right with both and to accommodate, because that's what we want to do, and having it be kind of lackluster or complicated versus kind of just doing one more year off of the success we had last year, probably will be bigger, right? I think a lot of us were saying that as we were ending that in January. And then I would have to hope and think that we'll be back a year from January. I don't know. It's
If we adopt, just like you said, if we adopt the idea of do it every other year, so every odd year it'll be online, and then even year it's face to face. I think really and truly, I think just to be safe, like I don't know, I'm not a doomsdayer, but I just don't trust folks. So I don't trust people like that. So I'm just thinking like it would be safer, because I know in my institution they already told us they're not giving us travel for next year, because we lost so much money last year, last spring. So
I love this idea, Livette. It also goes to sort of your model of doing the
like, even if we do just like next year, say okay, we're gonna do fully online, or we could do the bubbles. Like if you want to meet with people, I think what was missing from this year's conference was that socializing time. And so if we plan, if we did like even on Clubhouse, like is it Clubhouse? What is this app that you could do? Like it's a house party. And so like we play, like my sororities used to play spades. We play all kinds of stuff on here. So even if we have like she said, a third room for a open space, I think that could help people not feel so isolated.
Also, that's a way to build up our bank account if we do another year of online. Like I remember last year we were in like kind of a grave financial situation, and this year we actually made money to like kind of secure that. So like if we did another year of online, and I think that even if we raise the price to $25 instead of $20, I think that's still completely reasonable, and it would give us like a $4,000 or $5,000 padding for future conferences, so that like when the world hopefully goes back to normal, we don't have to be as concerned about our financial situation.
Well, and I'm for what Livette was talking about, like the little like breakout groups, or even having little games and things, because there's Jackbox too, games that we play a lot. That would be perfect. We could do that. We could have a karaoke night, and I do think our university's like there's no travel either. It's a ban right now, but I'm from a teaching institution, so they don't have a big funding. It was already a battle before to get funding for the one conference. So now they're really making it seem like they're not going to fund anyone, especially tenured faculty are not going to have the opportunity to apply. Only tenured track right now can apply for funding for virtual conferences. So I think that would be great. And I think $25 is completely reasonable. Like, even if I didn't get funding for it, I would pay the $25 to attend. It's professional development. It's priceless in my opinion. And you have things in place for people who can't afford it. And I think that's what the best we can do, and I agree with Andy too. If we can raise more money, then the next time we can have an in-person conference, it'd be even better.
I guess one question I've got, I really did enjoy the online conference, but it was really overwhelming to listen to all the presentations beforehand. And I probably, like a lot of people, I only listened to a handful of them because that was just all I could manage to do. So I'm wondering if there's ways to just think about doing that piece a little bit differently. I did like the requirement that you had to post your video or your presentation beforehand, just because for me, I'm a total procrastinator, and so that did actually force me to get my act together a month before the conference, which was kind of lovely. But on the other hand, again, trying to listen to everybody's, or even panels that I thought, oh, maybe this one would be one I'm interested in, was really, really hard. That was really hard to do. And so I just wonder how to rethink that piece.
Well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I agree with her, because I moderated one, and we did a facilitate moderated one. I really think we could still have it the same process that we had before. Is that for the face-to-face, if we go in and say you have, it's an hour and 15 minutes and everybody gets 10 minutes, you got 10 minutes to talk about your paper, because you're not going to be able to give that much time, because people came into those conferences, into those sessions without looking at those presentations. So having the online component, like having the video, is cool, but do we really need it? Because most people came in and was just waiting for you to talk about your paper.
Yeah. Or maybe have the videos ready and play them. But play them, and you have to be limited to 10 minutes. So if you turn in a video that's too long, like I did, you get cut off at 10 minutes and Tony gets to cut everybody off.
But I think people
I didn't cut
like
anybody
to
off.
see, but people like to see you talk about your paper, not necessarily you read the paper, because some people literally just read their paper.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so some quick, brief comments that might, some changes from this past year that I would say that are I would say on the table because of all of these concerns. To sort of mesh these together, I do think, I'm in agreement that participants should have some kind of overview of their project, and maybe that's limited to like a 3 to 5 minutes. What did you do in your video, blah, 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 but not do like a talking head, sitting and watching somebody read. You will have people read their manuscript, and is that, you might say 10 minutes, you will have people go 25 minutes.
They did, yeah.
They did. So some of that is trying to watch this. And then the question is, are people who have been to this one, now there's a different kind of knowledge that maybe I should watch a few more given the time thing, or do we bump up so we were working in an emergency last year. Do we force the submission deadline of videos? Does it matter if this year was December 1st, just because of the speed with which you had to put this together? Do we bump that up to November 15th and folks have more time, or are folks still not going to watch until? But yeah, sorry, Jace, did you want to say?
Sorry, I was just going to say from an international perspective that first of all, your $25 for your thing, seriously, that's a bargain. Okay. Like they're charging £50 for the ICAE one, which is online as well. Which, it's more than double what you guys are. And when I came across it last year, I couldn't believe that's all it was. So for me, from an international perspective, that's brilliant. I like the videos. I like the fact that I could dip into them in my own time. I teach full time. So the fact that I could dip in and out of them as and when I had 5 minutes was great. And yeah, I'll admit I didn't watch all of them. I looked at the ones that caught my eye. I watched them, and that helped inform who I was going to go and see and who I was going to go talk. It was a little bit disappointing when you then sat there and they're just reading back, or you kind of go, well, actually, I wanted to know more than that in your video. Yeah. One of the difficulties that I had was, usually for me, it takes me 24 hours to take on board what somebody said in their presentation. And then I want to go and talk to them the next days when I want to go answer the questions, or it's a little bit later when I've gone, that's what I wanted to ask. And that's the opportunity I think that I really missed from being there in face-to-face. I mean, we're lucky here in the UK, we're now expecting to have all our restrictions lifted by the end of June. So, we've got some sort of a time frame, but yeah, we don't know what our university is going to give back to us for traveling in and out.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I missed. We had people coming in, but a couple of things, and maybe you went over this, and if you did, I'm sorry, but I'll add my 2 cents anyway. Somebody suggested in the survey, we'd love to be able to give people feedback. Well, you could give feedback. I got on and gave feedback to a bunch of the videos that I watched. And so I would encourage that. People they like to know people watched and they liked it, or get comments back from them. And in terms of, the actual sessions, I think we probably need to be just a little bit more systematic about them and tell moderators, what they need to do, and then give them a lot of room to innovate. But to start off with, have everybody give a 3 to 4 minute summary of the video so that if person didn't watch, at least they're not lost, okay? And then ask them to have maybe a series of questions they could ask, or ask them questions like, now that you've done the video and you've done the project, what are the issues that you are confronting at this point? You know, something that would really generate going beyond what was on the video. I like the idea that someone suggested about having them bring a 5-minute video to the conference, but I think that's asking too much of people. You know, if they do the video online, I hate to then say, now I'll do a smaller one to bring to the conference. I don't want people to feel like this is too much trouble to do. And maybe they wouldn't, but I was concerned about that. So.
I do like the idea of sort of simulating the face-to-face and presenting. I just feel like there's probably some different kinds of challenges with, you know, I can, one of the things that's good and bad about face-to-face conferences is that if need be, I can be writing my presentation in my hotel room or on my flight down the day before, and can kind of get away with it. So that's the good thing and the bad thing, because it allows me to be my procrastinator self and still enjoy the conference. But that might be harder to do in a virtual environment. So, I mean, I think I still like the idea that, you know, you need to have your presentation. Maybe it's not a video even, maybe it's just, you need to have a paper uploaded by whatever date. And then you speak as others have suggested about your paper in the actual meeting rather than reading your paper. And it could even be a guided, you know, a more guided thing. It's easier to read. It's easier to read papers and then organize a discussion, I think, than it is to watch videos and organize a discussion. Maybe this is my age coming out. I don't know.
I never even thought about doing like have folks upload their papers beforehand.
Because
so I attended a conference like that, and it went really well, where when they actually did the group, everyone had 5 minutes, approximately 5-6 minutes to present, and the rest of the time was questions. And so the moderator was able to tell people, okay, your time is up. And there were 5 people on the panel, and so it was about 25 to 30 minutes. And then it was an hour and 15, so we had 45 minutes of discussion, and the whole time was filled. And it actually was very meaningful, because I think most times in conferences, we have so much time that everybody talks, and then the audience wants so much to say. They have questions and things they want to comment, and there's almost, you know, no time at the end. And so flipping that allows the people to upload larger, so they can upload the whole article and do their whole performance and do, you know, 10 minutes, 25, whatever they do, but they just summarize that. And then that was what they presented to the group. And so I think that worked really well. And it sounds like the consensus is that we're going to do this online. And I think there's a lot of benefits to that. I'm concerned about money that people don't have. And even if all of the travel bans are lifted, I don't know that everyone's going to have the money, since departments, from my experience and those I've talked to, they get a limited budget. This is all you get for the whole year. And then people are choosing between NCA and everything else. So I like the idea, and I was going to say that too, about doing it every other year. So going back to Carolyn's idea, that's what we look forward to. We look forward to the in-person conference in 2023, and then we have it every odd year. And this is what we do for one more year.
Great.
So I think if we uploaded papers, we could also do like a cool option where like you had the option to peer review or be peer reviewed with your papers, because that could be some like an opportunity for feedback for people, especially younger upcoming scholars that are still navigating their space and place in the field, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, just piggybacking on that. One of my first publications as a grad student, actually came out of a conference where we all did submit papers or paper drafts ahead of time. And then the conference organizers made those available. And this was back in the days before Google Drive and Google Docs. So they mailed them to us actually. But that, because of that, some of the more senior scholars that attended the conference actually took those earlier drafts and started to kind of plan a book project right at the conference. And so, they were right there saying, we're planning this book. We've got this thing, a call for papers is going out, and submit. And we were all ready to submit because we'd already done our papers, and it was a great way to get a publication, very early in an academic career.
I love this idea. I don't know why we didn't think of, I think we were in the mindset of recreating the presentation part with the video, but this could be really, really cool.
And you know what? It kind of was organic then, because during the sessions, I had people sending me messages that, oh, can you send me your paper?
Yeah.
And we were doing this. We were doing it. I don't know why. Brilliant.
This is why we have business meetings like this. This is fantastic. Wow. Okay.
I don't know if it makes any difference, but I'm totally new to this. I've never been to this conference. I've been to the one with Tim and Katrina in Bristol for a couple of years. But so I just came along. I'm really sorry. I feel like a Zoom bomber. So I'm from England. I'm at Warwick.
Welcome.
And doing my PhD there. But the idea of doing something online, from my experience at the one at Bristol being online, was that there was such a great international interaction and an international perspective, because what I found was that it's all very well speaking in English when one is in person, but when one is in a different country, then you get that added benefit of the cultural exchange, which is kind of removed when everyone is all in one geographical place. And so the idea of another year of an online conference, for me, even though I've not been, it just sounds really exciting, and one that I'd really like to come along to. So, and the idea of there being potentially peer reviewing opportunities, or just opportunities for people like myself to publish or to get feedback on our work is just, would be immense.
To Deepak's point, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and welcome. There were been informal talks during the conference last time, and then after, about how folks would really appreciate having what do they call them, the social room, or chat rooms in between the sessions. So that's something that I hope that we kind of look into and kind of planning, we're stuck hangout rooms, so that more informal conversations can take place, especially because seems like it's going to be headed so wonderfully international. I think there's a lot of chance for chats there.
It's easy to do that too. Yeah. Two other things. I just want to. I have one question to show. With a word, we can keep up this. I just want to at least address two other things. One, these are the awards coming this year. Last year, when we were in person, we discussed alternating these every other year. So this year 2021, we gave the Journal Article Book Award, Career Award, Bachner Nellis Award. 2022, we have these 3 awards. I threw up here in blue, do we want a thesis award? I'm thinking of dissertation, PhD, thesis. We could put in, we'd have to have an MFA discussion where we would want to put them. But do we want to is that a possibility? Is that okay?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
I think that'd be wonderful for master's student to
Yeah.
be able to.
And get them involved early in their careers would be great.
Okay.
But the dissertation award and the thesis award, if you mean master's thesis, those would be two different awards?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I actually like that. I think that's a really good idea because I hear from a lot of master's students, who need assistance and that reminds me, we talked one time about having some kind of network where people could get support who are doing their dissertations and theses. I don't know if did we follow up on that or we just dropped that or.
I remember this. They have this on the International Conference of Autoethnography, and
Yeah.
they have the examiners page. We could set up something like that.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that, and I think that would be a really good idea.
The last thing, just to put up the screen, and this is all I have, and this goes back to the Himani, the paper suggestion can feed right into some of these, can help with some of these issues. Again, I never even thought about this as a possibility. Andy, here are the workshops year round. Absolutely. These are ones at the moment that aren't going to be sort of the pay base that you brought up. Hannah Shakespeare wants to do one on publishing, book publishing. I'm meeting with her on Friday to finalize this. That will be sometime in March, and it will be a Zoom event. So she will talk about how to publish autoethnographic narrative work. And then Amy and Christina want to do a workshop on, they've been to, they started going to the autoethnography conference, I think in 2013. And they were at an institution that didn't support autoethnography, and they want to do a workshop during the year of how to navigate a university when you don't have support, and what questions to ask. And the only other thing I want to leave the accommodating multiple languages. I want to hold that off because I think this paper path presents a really cool opportunity to revisit this. Let me play around with that. But I do think that we could even, for some folks, in some regions and at some institutions, conference proceedings are very helpful for them. Mm-hmm. To have something included in a formal proceedings. This would be so easy to do. This would be a place where I could see a bunch of you all stepping in and doing this peer review and saying, yeah, this is fine. Let's put it in this collection. It would be published, sponsored by IAANI. It would be hosted on IAANI. It would be similar. There are so many models out there for this. Yeah. For folks to do stuff with this kind of work. And we could figure out ways to make sure that this doesn't, the thing to look into is, we want to make sure that this isn't like trying to balance out what the proceedings are. It's from the conference, but they can still use the work. We don't own the work, but they're getting featured in the proceedings, and they can be cited and all of that stuff. I think that'd be a really great opportunity, and we start to see so many open access sources are changing their models, and some have I love the qualitative report, and it's become pay to play, and it's been very frustrating. And it's like $500 to have an article processed there.
Don't even talk about it.
Oh, is that?
Don't even talk about it.
So I think that there are things that we can do it would be really easy to have do a proceedings of sort that is that balance between more than a conference. For some folks, it would count as a publication just fine. Open access. Here's volume 1 from 2023. Here's volume 2, 3. And with the paper orientation, Himani, you brought up, lends itself.
Right, perfectly.
Lends itself to this possibility, and yeah.
Another issue that might come under the heading of I don't know, mentoring or socialization, would be a broad discussion about service to the academic work in autoethnography. Rumor has it that it's getting harder and harder to recruit reviewers for the journals like Qualitative Inquiry and Autoethnography, narrative journals, et cetera. And maybe getting a few people to talk about why that's important and what the process is as people move from becoming referees to assistant or associate editors to editors. I'm not sure it's widely understood how vitally important this reviewing process, not only for conferences, but for journals, for books, and elsewhere. If we don't have people who are serving the project of autoethnography and narrative, and we're only depending on a handful of people, that could be a serious problem. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on that.
No, I personally think you're absolutely right. I see it too, and I don't think that that's just COVID burnout. I think a portion of it is, just guessing, right? But I think the professionalization piece can be really useful. It's like there's in a couple cases that I've heard about in the past year, it's been very like quid pro quo. I'm only going to review for you if I'm on the editorial board, for instance, right? And I've never reviewed for you yet, or maybe I've reviewed one, and so it's definitely a conversation that I think is important. So,
well, I think it's also visibility. So I just started doing a lot more peer reviewing than I've really done before. But I'm kind of at a good stage in my career where that's something that it's something I like to do for starters. And it's something that I also, I'm associate professor going up for full sometime, in the next year or two. And so it's a good way to demonstrate more service on one hand, and as well as doing something that I enjoy. But I'm also, I don't think a lot of people know me outside of some of my very, very small circles. So a lot of it might be on the part of various organizations. And I'm trying to be vague. Don't want to single out IAANI, but, just reaching out to everybody who's come to the conference and asking them if they'd be willing to do a peer review, and maybe not, asking for are you willing to sign up? Are you willing to submit a CV, et cetera? Just, you were on a panel about this. We've got a paper about this. Will you give it a peer review? And my guess is, especially if people aren't burnt out on it, they're probably more likely to say yes, because they're just waiting to be asked.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I've actually not said no once this year, and I'm pretty maxed out, but I'll still probably continue to say yes and try to say no to some other things of service in my college that I don't really want to be on, like more committees.
This is great. Any final thoughts, suggestion, comments? Where do we go from here? I thought this was wonderful.
Yeah, it's good.
Very good.
Tony, so when do you think we need to make the decision on modality by? Did you say July or late June or?
Well, that will matter with the only thing that it really matters with is when you open up the call for papers. If there's a sense that if we want to do an every other year model, I mean, how much do we want to commit to that right now? Because then we can open up submissions and just say, hey, it's going to be virtual, start submitting. Or that actually might not be good. The thing I learned last year, I opened submissions in March and we didn't get to them until August 15th. And so some of the people who submitted in March were like, well, where's my decision? Well, we're waiting until we have them all to send them out to folks. So I think that there is a benefit to having a smaller submission window. At least for the submission part, you don't have to submit your paper at that time. We can wait until June 1st. Maybe we do one more follow-up. But if we do this, I love this every other year model because there's still there would be a different kind of hype for each year. Next year virtual, the following year in person, next year in virtual.
And I think there is just so much less risk in going ahead with planning another year of online because we don't know what's going to happen. The US is getting a lot of vaccine now, but that's not necessarily the case in a lot of other parts of the world. Just because we have 2 years in a row of online, we had 2 years of in person. So there's a lot of ways to reason it. And that can prepare people for the following year as well, hopefully to be in person.
This question, the third question down here was very telling for me, only in the absence of no's and the few maybes, and even compared to the first question where even the in-person folks, even the 30 people who said they prefer in-person, and the 19 people who said yes, or 38 maybe they would go to in-person. At the very end, everybody, granted they came out for this virtual conference, but we had way more folks participate, not a single no with the virtual. And I don't see any risk. I see a different kind of risk trying to figure out the.
Right.
I don't know I know, like Robert Rule of Order, that you have to have a quorum of the members, and I don't know if we've officially came up. I know I was an originating member. I was at the first meeting that we had, right? Founding group. But if we take it to a vote, like I literally believe it would be easier if we just said it's going to be virtual 2022, and then face-to-face. And we just, or we can send a vote out to everyone and say, this is what we think. But I don't even know if we have a membership list. Like, if you come to the conference, are you a member?
We've never decided.
I know we had that conversation last year, but.
Yeah, we did kind of decide that if you come, you're a member.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we say we'll have a face-to-face, like, we'll send out the survey and say, are you willing to come to, we want to have it on the every other year model, or we just make executive decisions because we some G's like that, and we just tell them that's what's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of a business meeting, is to to decide business. And so, that's, unless you felt like there just weren't enough people at the business meeting and wanted to kind of.
Well, I move that we have every other year model in 2022. Starts online, and then 2023 it will be face-to-face.
I will second that.
I'm not the chairperson, but
All
Tony.
in favor?
I
think we should wait a couple months to decide on it personally. I think that we should see what's happening in the world, and if funding frees up and COVID frees up. But that's just because I want to see all your faces and sing songs with you at karaoke.
Well, I love you like a box of chicken, baby, but I already know my school is not going to let me go nowhere.
Yeah.
I think the survey really gives Tony permission. He's
right.
The whole membership. He knows that people want to come to the who wants what, And I think this really gives him permission to make a decision after consulting with the people on his board.
I agree. And then if we think about, what do we know for sure, or at least with more certainty, more confidence, if we, my thinking, it's likely if we gamble with in person or part, we could get milquetoast response, and have ambivalence and stuff. But the one thing we know more for sure is that the online works.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tony last year, largely in designing that, right? And all of us were participating. And so I'm in favor of now, even though I appreciate these.
Andy, the only thing I would throw back is this idea, though, of going, if we rotated format every other year, that means we would only do in person this year is what I'm hearing, and the following year is purely virtual, and then we're doing in person and then virtual. I think that model is dangerous if we think we're going to do fully in person January 2022.
No. I think that if we did that every other year model, we would have to start with in person, and then we'd have to do 2 years of in person. And then also I'm thinking about this is where my master's in business is coming in mind, because as much as I want to see your faces, if we could build up the bank account with $5,000 by doing this all online, that is more practical to me for the future of the organization.
Yeah.
And we don't really have to decide this now. I mean, Tony can wait till April, May. All we do, he's advertised the conference really well with we don't quite know what it's going to be, and I think we can leave that ambiguous at this point. And I think even though we might have a plan in mind that every other year going back and forth would be nice, I don't think we should lock ourselves into anything.
Right.
Because it might be 2022 we have an in-person and we just remember how wonderful it is to hug each other. And we want to do 2023, we want to do another in person. But I think just for now that we think about, well, we're really toying with this every other year. And for right now, we're leaning toward 2022 being online and 2023 being in person. But it's all in flux. It's all, we're waiting to see what the world brings us at that point.
Yeah. Because I think if I remember right, even Tony, weren't you even kind of talking about the next one being in person, that 2022 would be in person, but so I would say just go virtual for 2022 and then leave it open.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So a question I would like to ask you, just from my perspective to get a sense, would it be appropriate to, and this is just throwing stuff out there, let me work through some details. Would it be appropriate, similar to requiring people to do the videos, if we did the papers instead? It could be just papers, or it could be, or if folks want to do videos, that's sufficient too. Is it okay to have, hey, you have to submit your paper by December 1st, or November 15th, whatever that date is. I mean, we could do a November 15th and give folks a hidden week that we don't tell people about, that if they need some more time to do it. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah,
I think so. I would be careful with the NCA deadline, but
say that again. What was that?
I'd be careful with NCA conflicts and in terms of making life a bit more manageable there. But I think it's perfectly fine for me.
Yeah.
And it could, and the program would look similarly in the sense that the program would then be released. It would be released to people who have registered, and each paper would have its own link.
Mm-hmm. I also
or video presentation. Folks could do that too.
Yeah, they could do either or both maybe. And
especially if one of the categories for awards is best oral visual. I mean, we should leave the option open of not just papers, but other submissions.
Sure.
No, to me, the video innovation was the best thing about the conference last year. The video and having them online, and you could go and see the presentation And then we had some really robust discussion sessions. And a number of people said during the chats that they absolutely loved that format. So I don't know why we would go back to people sitting reading a paper to 150 people.
Well, it was for just submitting the paper. Yeah, I'm a little, I think I missed a piece of this conversation because I also think the videos were just fabulous. Now I didn't have to do it, but I'd hate to move away, even giving people the option. Most people are going to take the paper option, right? I mean,
No, not necessarily.
No? Okay.
There were a number of responses to the questionnaire where people expressed how much they appreciated the discussion sessions.
Well, we've never made people for this conference send whole papers before. They've always sent an abstract before the conference. So, I mean, what if we made it, you have to send a video, but you have the option if you would like to submit your paper for feedback or for people to read, you could. I think it's really neat the way we did the videos. So I hate to move away from that at all.
Yeah,
I really liked the videos too. And it worked out really well for me because I submitted an abstract and I didn't have the full paper. And then I wrote part of the paper for the video. And then I submitted the same abstract for a book chapter and it got accepted for a book chapter, but they want me to like reconfigure some of the stuff so that it fits the book. So it worked out really well for me because it's like I wrote 2,500 words to make my presentation for this. And now I have room to like finesse it into what the book chapter needs to be. So it worked really well for me personally.
And for me being new into this and still doing my PhD, I'd happily do a video or a presentation about aspects of my work or a component, but then have to write something that becomes a bit more time consuming. It becomes a bit more arduous, and I'd probably be less likely to submit something where I quite like the videos. I thought it worked really well.
No, I think I was the one who raised the concerns about the videos, and it was just very difficult to pre-watch the videos. That was between December 15th and January 2nd or 3rd, or it was a lot to pack in with the holidays, with getting papers graded, with doing, keeping the household running, all of that. It was a lot of work. And just kind of for me, papers, I liked personally getting my paper done and then getting a video uploaded, but it was very hard for me to do what I felt was respect to the others by previewing so much. A paper is something I can read pretty quickly, and it's also something I can read while people are presenting. And I can't watch a video while somebody's talking about a video. And so that was kind of where the concern came from on my end.
I'm at the other end, and I think videos is more access because I'm dyslexic. So for reading a paper takes me an incredible amount of time, and I actually find it really tiring and exhausting to read a paper. And it might take me 3 or 4 readings to get through a paper, where a video, I can rewind it a little bit, I can fast forward a little bit, and I find for accessibility for someone like myself, it's just so much easier, and I can grasp hold of people's ideas and concepts much easier. So
lots of different needs are going on that, which, would be worth trying to accommodate, all of this.
I think there are ways to do that. I do think we should prioritize videos. They worked. I love the accessibility of videos too, of the sound and you can, with a paper, you can also go back and take your time, but you have the visual component of the reading. The videos do add something. I do think though that there's a space that we could encourage. I really want to do something with proceedings, and for that, there's something we could do that videos required, papers optional. We could figure out what to do with those papers. That would be helpful for folks. I also think when we were talking about the structure of this, I remember having a conversation where that the video should be treated like when we go to an in-person conference, we don't go to every session. We don't see every presentation. It's okay not to watch everything. And maybe that wasn't made. Maybe there are things we can also do to help if folks are feeling pressured to watch so much. Maybe it's like, no, choose choose the panels you're interested in. But maybe, is more time necessary or shorter videos? But that the videos, folks can do what they want. It's really up to the users if they want to watch them or not.
Right.
It does affect, I suppose, the quality of the discussion if folks have watched them or not. I could go either way with it, so I'm just going to defer to the sense of the group with that. I just to echo a point from earlier though about the chairing, I think just made me think of it in this point of the conversation. That moderating was fantastic. Like, I'm so grateful. Like the folks I work with who got the chair, that's just not chairing and keeping time. They were facilitating dialogue. And so I bring that up to say that, as we continue to develop, maybe we can look at ways like how we're preparing them, how we're preparing folks to moderate. I know you had some great instructions. But my main point in bringing it up is just a downfall of the videos, just to offer one, is that I'm not prone to watch. Mine is scheduled and taking on way too much last semester. And so like Kimony, my experience was I couldn't watch many. And so I don't think that hurt us though, with other people who didn't watch it, because those sessions were still great. But I wonder, actually I have no ending point to this. So let's just do an ellipsis there. But it's just some thoughts on these things.
I mean, maybe if people just talked about their videos for 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of the panel, that would be a way to facilitate it more, where if people did because there were some panels where I watched 2 or 3 of the videos, but I didn't watch all of them. I mean, if I saw a 25-minute video, there was no way I was going to watch it. Sorry, Himini.
It wasn't 25 minutes. It was like 17.
17 was a bit above of what I was going to watch.
That's a great point, though. I saw the OrgCon people in my department did the mini conference through NCA this year. And I think to accommodate this, they had them do a flash video of 60 to 90 seconds. There was a snapshot summary of their presentation. That could be something in terms of Andy's, your kind of summary that you're talking about, or a quick moment of it.
Yeah, that sounds like an elevator pitch of your presentation, basically.
Right.
Well, the video or paper option could, do one or the other as the upload, or both if you're really inclined, and then do that 5-minute or flash mob 60-second, whatever it is. Do something short just so that there's some groundedness in the beginning of the session. And then after that, let it fly. And the moderator, can can do the guiding of discussion as before, but perhaps with a little bit more audience interaction. I noticed that the audience interaction was a lot harder to generate on the second day than it was on the first day. And so, what I suspected was that people did have time to catch some videos that ran on the first day, but they couldn't really do it on the second day.
Good point. The last thing I want to say with the videos that you don't get. So I think there's an easy way forward. So this is so helpful. We can bring all of these together. The other thing with the videos, I try to think, if folks are participating in the conference, I want the folks who need to benefit from, of course, getting their work out, meeting people, but also from the institutional practices of things that matter. If folks submitted the video of them presenting, technically they've presented, they're done. That's they've given their presentation what they would have done in person. So for instance, there were 2 people out of all of the 87. So, which I think is really impressive. There were 2 people who actually didn't attend their session, but they technically had already presented. They just didn't have the discussion about, and they should feel very comfortable about putting that on their video. They did their presentation. If they submitted a paper, I don't know if they would be able to say that I think that the presentation part, they'd have to be the liveness. But I see I think video is necessary. Paper is highly encouraged, especially if you want to be involved in the proceedings. which are going to be part of it, and then having folks talk about their project at the start of the sessions, and maybe even expanding the session time a bit would help. These are all remedies that could really address some of the multiple things.
And that's the route that the ICAE one here in the UK is gone down. They've asked for anything. It can be installations, it can be papers, it can be videos, it can be performances. How they organize that and categorize that, I'm not quite sure, but they've just said, you know, whatever you think you would do in a conference, just submit to us. And if you're not sure, have a chat with us and we'll work out a way that we can make it work.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Anybody other comments? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you all for being here. This is so cool. I miss you all. And great to meet you. Great to meet the new folks too. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Tony. For
I'll put this recording online. So,
Okay, Tony, can you stay on or do you want me to call
Yeah.
you? I need to ask, I gotta ask a question.
let me stop.